about politics, the great divider of YouTube channels. Most of us will stay away from the man-made horrors of politics, others will choose to go into it and become utterly insane. But today, I have chosen to carefully walk the line and make a video about politics in which I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, nor do I care. In this video, I will be talking about the political beliefs of the TF2 mercenaries based on their characters in lore, and then I will rank them. Please note that this is all for fun, and I have seriously no idea what I'm talking about. So if you think that this video is awesome, like and subscribe, give me your soul, and leave your own cool ideas and lists in the comments. Trust me, I will painstakingly read all of them. First off, there's Scout, who lacks the intelligence required to make a rational decision in the world of politics. However, he is a god-blessed American, which completely retracts the previous statement. I think that Scout would firmly be on the right. The biggest point to support this is that Scout is extremely racist, as seen by his behavior in-game, and by the behavior of those who choose to play Scout often. He even goes as far as calling Heavy some really mean names just because he's fat. Really, Scout better watch his mouth before he eats too many buckets of chicken. If Scout were to exist in a modern day, he'd support all kinds of right-wing things, and would likely fall into the horrifying hole of absolute conspiracy. However, I do think that Scout would oppose the Mexican border wall, seeing as he would clearly see that people could easily double jump over it. Next up, there's Soldier, who you can easily tell is an American through his intense patriotism. In lore, he killed tons of Nazis, or rather innocent German people, considering he kept fighting until 1949. What this means is that he is opposed to fascism, which take that as you will. Another ideology that he is opposed to is communism, and his love for America basically ensures that. What this all means is that he's opposed to the far right and the far left, so I'm just gonna assume that he'll land right in the middle. That's right, Soldier is a moderate, although I do think that his intense love for America makes him pretty nationalist, which is usually associated with the right. Really, if you think about it, would Soldier support things like Vietnam and the war on terrorism? Yes, he would. After those two god-blessed freedom-loving Americans, there's Pyro, whose character remains largely a mystery. From what we can tell, their intentions are good, and Pyro just wants to spread joy throughout the world, but we all really know what's happening. Pyro's actions clearly mean that they support total anarchy. Pyro just wants to tear apart the world's institutions and spread joy to all freely, by searing their skin with 10th degree burns. More evidence can be found in the fact that Pyro clearly opposes capitalism. We know this because Pyros and MVM often fail to collect money, even though they can easily be as fast as Scout. Furthermore, Pyro has a line in-game in which they say, "No gods, no masters," an anarchist catchphrase. The evidence just adds up. Up next, we have Demoman, who hails from Scotland, a place that is infamous for the idea of it becoming independent from the United Kingdom. Demo is clearly very patriotic towards his homeland, and would likely support the independence movement. I can't blame him, since at no time in the history of the world has anybody ever wanted to be part of the British. Additionally, Demo is probably responsible for the death of the 10th class, the civilian, as the civilian is from England. Demoman clearly showed the civilian what it truly means to be British by drawing a straight line across his flesh with a sword. So, where does this place Demoman on the political spectrum? Well, as discussed before with Soldier, intense nationalism is usually associated with the right, so I think Demoman would fall there. To prove this, we can look at Demoman's eyeballs, where we can see that he clearly shows his support for the right by only having one right eyeball, which is truly symbolic. Scotland forever. Next we have Heavy, who is intensely confusing. You might naturally assume that Heavy is a communist, seeing as he's from the Soviet Union, but that idea has some problems. In the lore, Heavy's father was a counter-revolutionary, which had the consequences of him being executed and his family being sent to a gulag. So, a very strong counter-argument to Heavy loving communism, but here's why I think the opposite. First of all, Heavy clearly loves sharing with people, seeing as he gives away sandwiches to anyone. Second of all, Heavy is clearly a bisexual in the game, as he has an intense love for both Sasha and Medic. Additionally, Heavy also enjoys not just bananas, but also fisting. What does this have to do with communism? Well, famously, communists are very loving towards one another, just like Heavy is of both men and women, and that helps prove my point. And finally, if we all just collectively believe that Heavy is a communist, which is a communist active in itself, then it will become the truth. Up next is Engineer, who out of anybody on the list might be the easiest to identify. Engineer is from the great state of Texas, which has been a red state for 5 billion years. Famously, Republican Texas has 3 major political agendas: ensuring that everything is still bigger in Texas, promising all Texans to right to a Ford F-150, and of course, promoting pure evil. All 3 of these things align with Engineer's character, seen in how the level 3 Chin promotes the idea that Texas has the biggest people, how he drives a Ford F-150 in my nightly recurring nightmare, and how you can tell by his laugh that there is pure evil in his soul. Furthermore, Engineer is a huge fan of guns, as seen in his Meet the Team video, which also aligns with typical Republican beliefs on gun things. The only real counter-argument to this is that Engineer has cosmetics, which have a close association of the Mexican nationality, such as a sombrero and a cargo constructor. Ultimately, Unfortunately, whether this is in support of or against the Mexicans is a deciding factor in its political status. Up next is Medic, who unfortunately is from Germany, a place which is infamous for the two moments in history where they got really patriotic and then promptly died. I know that today Germany is not like that, and they are a cool nation that has mud wizards, mines the worst coal in the world, and bathes in alcohol. But considering the time period in which TF2's events occur, let's just say that Medic has a dark history. This is supported by the fact that there is no Jewish mercenary, probably because Medic couldn't handle that. Furthermore, Medic is also known for his countless war crimes, something that the Germans had a good laugh about back in Nuremberg. Really, who knows? Maybe Medic has changed his ways in the 2.5 decades between World War II and TF2. Maybe Medic is constantly awake at night, remembering the atrocities he has committed, much like my friend Josh after he served in Afghanistan. Don't you forget what you did to that village, Josh, because the only way to repent now is to cry yourself to sleep every night. Up next is Sniper, who unfortunately has a history of the British. He may come from Australia, but we all know that Australia is just the United Kingdom with the survival difficulty set to hard. We can even see his love for the British monarchy when he says, "God save the Queen," which unfortunately cannot be said today. I think Valve needs to fix the game so that their character from the 1960s is up to date with the British monarchy. Anyways, Sniper also has loving parents, something that far right or far left people lack. So he's out of the ballpark of believing in absolute monarchy within the modern day. What this means is that Sniper has to have another belief, and I think I know what that is. You see, Sniper loves throwing bottles of piss at and sniping people trying to make progress. This clearly means that Sniper supports going back to the good old Middle Ages, full of feudalism and monarchies, where he can freely pee on anybody he likes. Finally, there's Spy, who I always give the short end of the stick in these videos just because he's French, and this time, there is no exception. The French are widely known for their beautiful art, eternal protesting, history of violent revolution, and surrendering during major wars. Spy seems to be a gentleman of the utmost gentlemanliness, so while I think that he's a big fan of beautiful art, he wouldn't support the rest of those things. Instead, I think that Spy is a fan of France's ancient history with the Roman Empire. To support this, we can look at Spy's weapon arsenal. He wields a revolver, the exact gun that was used to kill Julius Caesar, a butterfly knife, the exact knife that was used to kill Julius Caesar, and an invisibility watch, the exact watch that was used to kill Julius Caesar. With how much Spy is prepared to kill Caesar, we can see that Spy wants to preserve the Roman Republic. For what this means in today's politics, I have no idea. Now that I have talked about what the beliefs of the mercenaries are, it's time to rank them all from best to worst. Clearly, the mercenary with the very best beliefs is Soldier, who seeks to kill the far right and left, and thus remains in a relatively unbiased middle. This is made impressive for the fact that Soldier still loves his country more than anything, something which we Americans should all know how to do better. Thank you, Soldier. Very cool. In second place is Demoman, because he supports what every single country in the history of the world has ever done, and that's staying away from the British. Thank you, Demoman. Very cool. And third place is Heavy, who we think is what every communist should strive to be like. Heavy just really loves others and shares sandwiches with them. And isn't that just pure good? He hasn't seized the meanings of production yet, but a dream is a dream nonetheless. In the fourth place is Pyro, who in theory just wants to spread joy in the form of blowing bubbles and the destruction of social hierarchies. Whether he's been successful at either of those things remains a point of contention. In the fifth place is Engineer, who has an intense love for Texas, the very state that I was born and raised in. Honestly, Engineer, you seem like a chill guy, and maybe I'd like a Ford F-150 too. In sixth place is Sniper, who has a very confusing take, but I assume that people out there would enjoy throwing jars of piss at people, as they please, so he gets this mediocre spot on the list. In seventh place is Spy, who, when the day to assassinate Julius Caesar comes, is more than prepared. That is at least a bit admirable. In eighth place is Scout, for his relentless racism and intense consumption of fried chicken. Really, Scout, you could have done better if it weren't for the chicken. And in last place is Medic, who needs no explanation. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to remind Josh the way he did during those 10 minutes on that gunship back in Afghanistan cannot be forgiven.